How do you create magic in an organization through leadership, customer service, and culture? Today on Marketing Over Bourbon, we're sitting down with someone who has spent decades teaching leaders how to do exactly that, Lee Cockerell. I'm your host, Sheila Butler of Butler Marketing Group, and Lee is the former Executive Vice President of Operations for the Walt Disney World Resort, a world-renowned keynote speaker, best-selling author, podcast host, and founder of the Cockerell Academy. In today's conversation, we'll dive into how Disney's great leadership strategies became a daily practice, what leaders often overlook in customer service and time management, lessons learned from career setbacks, and his perspective on leaving a legacy. So relax, pour yourself a beverage, and enjoy this conversation with Lee Cockerell. Lee, thank you so much for being here. What a privilege. Amazing.
It's the best kind of session to have a drink.
Exactly. Well, you are a pro at this, and we're diving into this. It's just, I can't wait. I'm excited to hear all of your stories. So we're going to start with the career journey. So your career has spanned Hilton, Marriott, Disney. What are the biggest lessons that you've learned from each of those, and how did they shape who you are today?
Well, I learned a lot because I grew up in Oklahoma and I had never been anywhere. I never stepped foot out of Oklahoma until I was 20 years old. My mother was kind of busy. She was married 5 times, but she made better choices. Husband number 4 had money, so I got to go to college, which a lot of kids didn't in this little farm town. And I went to Oklahoma State University for 2 years before I flunked out because I forgot to go to class. I had a lot of fun, and I decided not to go back second year. And in those days, you either were in college or you got drafted or had to join. And I joined the Army and went to Fort Polk, Louisiana, and met a guy from the UK. He was in the Army too. And when I finished, he said, "You want to go with me to Washington, D.C.? I'm going to open the Washington Hilton Hotel on March 15th, 1965. And I said, "Sure." I'd never been anywhere. Luckily, I went home, got a car that my mother's new husband gave me. That money paid off. And we drove there, and we got to Washington. We pulled in. We stayed at the Marriott the first night, the first Marriott. It was $8 a night. And we got a job the next day. I got a job as a banquet waiter. And first time I'd ever really been in a hotel. And I don't know why they hired me, but some guy took me by the hand, a German fellow, and started teaching me the business. I said, I had to learn which fork to use and why there are so many glasses on the table. Mm-hmm. I told everybody in Oklahoma we had 1 fork. You lick it off each pie. But those dinners I was doing were 3 forks, 2 knives, 3 spoons. And I did that for a couple of years and stayed with Hilton 8 years total. Met my wife in that hotel. And then I got into finance and accounting. I applied for a clerk's job, finally got it. And my boss left 6 months later, and I got promoted to his job. And then that kind of started. We moved to Chicago to the Conrad Hilton, there a couple of years, had a baby. Then we moved to New York City to the Waldorf Astoria, and then to Los Angeles. And there I quit because my boss and I didn't love each other. And I took a job in Lancaster, Pennsylvania to double my salary. My wife warned me, "Don't do this. You are crazy. You better get a contract." I know what I'm doing. Don't worry. I got fired 90 days later. So now I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania with a Volkswagen, a baby, a wife, no job. And the sheriff confiscated our furniture because we broke the lease on the apartment. So they had $2,000 to get it back. I didn't have $2,000. I happened to have a whole life policy that had a cash value on it, $2,000. So we got it back finally. It took me 3 months to finally get a job. And I got a job at Marriott. Stayed 17 years, became the vice president of food and beverage development for the company worldwide. And I look back on that, I think about it for young people today. The reason I got that job is I didn't have a degree, but I'd done all the jobs, and I had the finance, and I'd been a waiter and a cook, and I knew the business. So I always tell young people, become an expert in something, and you can always fall back on that. And I had a great career there, and then I got recruited by Disney in 1990 to go to France. Opened all the restaurants. And we went, and my wife made me take the job because she had a French boyfriend when I originally met her. And it took a year to get rid of him, literally. And
was she hoping she was going to see him in France?
No, but she always used to tell me when we were down, I'm going to live in France someday, and my children are going to speak French. And I told her after that, I said, well, you did, but you didn't know it was going to be with me. And we stayed there 3 years. My son got out of Boston University, came over, fell in love with a French lady, and they've been married 33 years. He was on the Disney College program. He worked for Disney before I did, while he was going to college. And I got a call from Orlando to want me to come and be the senior vice president of hotel operations. Yes. Did that for a couple of years, and then I got promoted to executive vice president of all operations. And I tell people today I still don't know why. Somehow they didn't know I didn't know what I was doing, but I don't think anybody knows what they're doing. So I was in good company, and it worked out well. I loved it. I did that job for 10 years, and then I retired and started my own little company of speaking and trying to tell people. People call me and say, "Can you tell us the secrets of Disney?" I say, "Sure, if you pay me." And they do, and I'm booked business all over the world. I've literally, Australia, I went to Iraq during the war and did 13 seminars for the military during that Gulf War, and then the State Department. It's amazing. FBI.
Who would have guessed, right?
I know.
When you think back to your younger self, if you had explained this, would you have believed it? It's like,
I didn't know you had to do anything. I was in this little town. I went back for my high school reunion, and I asked one guy, "What are you doing?" He said, "Mowing lawns." I mean, he didn't leave. And there's a lesson there. You need to get out of your village. Yeah. Go to the big city. Yeah. And I now really push it, certainly education, but experience and exposure. Yeah. And I was exposed to all those big cities and people from everywhere and every religion and every background. And amazing. They become your friends, especially in the hotel business. Right. Everybody's from somewhere else.
So I have a question for you around great service and educating leaders and their teams on what great service looks like. So I feel like I might have heard this from you ages ago. Like, how can you deliver great service if you haven't experienced it for yourself? So yeah. What do you think was one of your earliest experiences around, like, this is truly great guest service?
Yeah, and I said today, what I knew in Oklahoma was not what they were doing at the Ritz-Carlton. Right. Or at the Hilton, where we were doing French service and had all this fancy stuff and wines. And the president, I served Lyndon Johnson one day when he came to the head table. He didn't ask me about anything, but he... And I think it's just like that. Exposure and experience teaches you things you didn't know if you get your experience and exposure in the right places. Correct. Yeah. So I working for Hilton, Marriott, and Disney. Those were, they all do a fabulous job. Right. The founders were all unbelievable. They all were committed. Yeah. They all started about 1927 and made it 100 years today. All of them are 100 years. And I said, if you want to know how to do the best valet parking, go to the Ritz-Carlton and park your car. Right. You don't even have to spend any money. Just go in, come back out, and get your car, and you'll see how they do it.
And how different it is.
Yeah,
right,
it's just
than somewhere else. Yeah.
I think what we don't know is amazing.
Yeah.
Just, but when you travel all over the world, you see there's different ways. And even before I go to a country, I really take the time to look up and find out what to do and what not to do in that country. Yeah. The customs and so go find out. Yeah, if exactly. You don't know something.
All right, so great leadership strategies. So when you introduced the great leadership strategies at Disney, you rolled them out. I think it was like a cascade, right? From like your leaders to their teams until 40,000 plus Disney cast members at the time had all learned this, right? So what were the 10 strategies, and how exactly can leaders learn from what you did in their approach so that as they're rolling out strategies, that these strategies actually become daily practices?
Yeah, well, I think most people, they know what they want to get done when you're in a leadership job, but you got 40,000 people out there that are not in your brain. Mm-hmm. And that's why I took about a year to develop that great leader strategy. I had a consultant come to my house every Sunday, and I'd talk to her about what I wish people would do, how we'd behave better, how we'd treat each other. And slowly we got that developed. And then I rolled it out to my direct reports and went through it this is what the expectation is going to be, how we treat people,
Right.
how we're available for our team, how we take care of emergencies, all those kinds of things that are so important. And then they had 4 weeks to roll it out to theirs, and then the next group had 4 weeks and 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I did a newsletter every Friday just reminding everybody. And I think that concept right there of, I give a lot of speeches, and I always tell the people at the end, as soon as I leave, everybody's going to go back to work Monday, and half the people are not going to do anything.
Everything, throw it in the drawer, the bookshelf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told you, I have a client in Brazil. I speak to his team every week for 1 hour on Thursday morning for the last 3 years.
Wow.
Every week. And he made a good point. He said, people got to hear things over and over and over to get it to go in. And we have new people coming in, new situations, recessions. How do we handle crisis? And I've started to kind of tell my clients, so you need to be thinking about how you're going to keep this alive after I go back to Orlando.
Exactly.
Because people forget life is, life tries to kill you every day.
Remind me, so was the Great Leadership Strategies, was that the precursor before guest satisfaction measurement and cast excellence?
Yes.
Because I felt like they all tied together, but refresh my memory. How did that work?
Well, they were kind of there was those things were happening to get the measurement and to get an HR point of view on how this would be done and official training. And mine was really more focused on operations of how we execute every day with the customer, the guest, as we run into them, as we check them in, as we get their car, or as we answer the phone when the first time they call. That first impression.
Put a smile on your voice, Lee.
When you try to make a restaurant reservation, and how to handle children. Because if you take care of the kids, parents are always really happy.
Very good point.
Yeah, just give the kids whatever they need, and the parents will be happy. And that's what we want to do. And we're getting the kids ready to be the next group of people coming down here and paying for that.
Exactly.
And,
right.
Yeah,
and they're timeless lessons, I would say.
There are. I mean, I think in your own personal life, you got to know what you stand for and what you want. And that's kind of your standards. Well, we wanted those standards for Disney. What we will do, what we won't do, how we should do it. And Bill Marriott told me once, the only way you get excellence is training and enforcement. And a lot of companies train their people, they don't enforce it. They show favoritism, they're not available, they let things go, they don't make the hard decisions. And I think that's what Disney's done best, is they went in, it's based, your life is based on performance, not on how long you've been hanging around the company.
Right.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the hardest things you have to do is terminate somebody.
Yeah.
And nobody likes to do that.
No, exactly.
It's almost as bad as exercise.
All right, so let's talk about your books. So I'm going to lean into the customer rules. So by the way, your 4 incredible books are behind you and the camera, so thank you very much. So in the customer rules, you share 39 rules for delivering exceptional service. What rule or rules do leaders often overlook, and why do you think that is?
Well, there are 39 rules, but the one I like the most, which is not even listed as a rule, was I asked my granddaughter Margot when she was 12. She's now 27 and married. But I said, Margot, I'm writing this book on customer service. What do you think's the most important thing in customer service?
Okay.
She said, oh, Pappy, it's be nice. And I think about that, just be nice.
It's not that.
And I asked my grandson, he was 10, what do you think, Tristan? He said, when you serve, you're the giving one. And then my older grandson, I said, what do you think, Julian? And he said, be careful how you use your tongue. You can really hurt somebody with it. It's the strongest muscle in your body. And I put them all in the book. But, it's true. Be nice.
Right? Right. First of all, I made sure that I didn't ask you to recite all 39.
Yeah, thank you. But the first one's about hiring the right people. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right people, you're not going to make it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Because your people are your brand. I mean, when people think about Disney, they think about the cast members.
Right, exactly. You hire for fit.
Yeah.
You can teach the other things.
Right. The shows are going to happen, and they change it. But the people that are taking care of my daughter or helping us do something, giving just kindness. And it's the reason it stands out at Disney is because it's an exception in the world. People don't do this. Most places you go, you're aggravated by the time you leave. And I think that's probably a main reason the repeat business is so high. You know, they say 70% of the people every day at Disney have been there before. And you don't go back to places that you're not treated right.
Right.
So
exactly.
Be nice, and you'll probably do more business.
And so did you say that is not in the book?
Being not, it's in the,
oh, it is? Okay, good. Okay, all right.
First paragraph, I talk about it, and then I go into the rules because I had to find a way to get all three of my grandkids in my books.
Okay, I like that.
So, yeah.
Okay, very nice.
They like me.
There's not a 40th one? We just ran out of steam at 39?
Somebody said, why are there only 39? So that's all I could think of.
It's not exactly a round number, I'm just saying.
That's all I could think of. Maybe there's more. I don't know.
So time management. So you have another book on time management. I recall you being very passionate about time management at Disney and those principles. What is the driver for that passion around time management, and how has your approach to time management evolved over time?
Well, I, like many people in your life, you start out, you're single, life's easy, no big deal, and then you start getting these additional responsibilities. I got married, boom, didn't have a baby, well, and then going to work and trying to get to the soccer game and pick up the laundry, and your mother-in-law's flying in Saturday, and the stuff keeps growing. And now your boss wants it at 5 o'clock, and he wants this and that, and then you get promoted and you get more responsibility. And what happens is people are having trouble handling it. It's too much coming at them. Anxiety level right now is really high among everybody. And I was about 35. I was working for Marriott, and I was in the same thing. I'd been promoted to vice president. I was working every night and days and taking work home, coming in on Saturday and Sunday. I was disciplined in a way that I tried to keep my promises, but how do you get it all done at the right time and for the right person? My boss said, we're going to go to a time management seminar, our team, and it's going to be 2 days long. And I said, what? Are you crazy? I can't go.
I don't have the time for 2 days.
You don't know what I got to do here. And we went, and it was amazing what I learned about just every day to stop, don't do anything until you take 15, 20 minutes and put together a little plan for the day and for tomorrow, and maybe the next week. Think about your responsibilities, which you have many. People say, what do you mean you have? Well, as your parents get older, as you think about your retirement, your finances, your own development, learning more so you can get that next job, learning AI, college fund, investments, your health. Do you put enough time against each one of these responsibilities you have? And people, when you say, what do you think you're responsible for? They say, oh, my family, my job. And it's much bigger.
Right.
And the problem is, if you're not clear about it, you probably don't spend time on it. You know, how many people don't exercise? Right. Because one of the things in time management is schedule your priorities. Now, if your priority is to stay alive, that's probably a big one. Your finances, those days will come. And sometimes you have to do something now that doesn't pay off for 10 or 15, 20 years from now. And as I said, I tell my wife I love her so she doesn't leave, you know?
Well, you should do that anyway.
There's certain things you should every day. And just thinking every day, what should I do? Because leadership's a responsibility. Being a parent is a responsibility. If you screw that up, and you see every day people, I say there's only 4 ages. You're born, you're 21, you're 65, and you're dead. You better get with it because you go from 21 to 50 fast. And then, boom. Right. I have a 57-year-old son. Where'd he come from? I have a 30-year-old grandson. Where'd he come from? Right. They're married. It's like unbelievable. Time management's a big deal.
Yes. Are you of the philosophy to where you only touch something once?
Well,
because I've tried to do that totally unsuccessfully.
It's because you must run into something hard, because that's where people stop.
Yes, I look at that and I go, this is too much. I cannot process this at the moment, so I put that piece of paper down. But I've tried.
Depending what it is, I think sometimes you need to process.
Right.
Because sometimes when you don't do something, it'll work itself out. You know, like we were supposed to have breakfast this morning with some people from out of town. I didn't really want to go. And Priscilla wasn't feeling well this morning, so we got to cancel. It was like beautiful. It took care of itself.
Right.
And people take care of things, and things happen that you didn't have to get involved in. So, but I think that you don't put it off very long.
Yes.
Because it will start to create anxiety for you because you'll worry about it.
Exactly. You can't touch that piece of paper 5-7 times. Just
and depending
do
on what
it.
it is, then you don't sleep well tonight because
Yeah.
you're thinking about it all day, and then you're.
Yeah.
This is a big thing I really focus on now. Is when you got something hard, kill it. You know, really. If you got to pick up the phone and tell somebody, I'm sorry, I'm got to let you go. You know.
Right. The things that I don't want to do most, I do at the beginning of the day. So I just get behind
good.
me. Right. If it's like, writing a recap report or something for a client, I'm like,
that's what I told people. When you're going to terminate somebody, do it first thing in the morning so it doesn't ruin the rest of your day. And then spend an hour with them telling them why you had to do that, because by then you probably met with them 3 or 4 times. It's not going to be a surprise.
Right.
But we don't like to do it because they're nice people.
Well, yeah.
And they have a family and health care.
Yeah.
So
all right,
that's hard.
I have one last follow-up question around time management for you, and then we'll move on to the next thing. So in my head, that I was thinking about and reflecting on, again, time management, and you were so passionate about it at Disney and making sure that people really understood these principles. I wondered, is part of that the fact that so many of the cast members, it may be their first full-time job.
Oh, yeah.
And so how do you make sure to keep the operation going? Because it's the longest running show, right? 365, 24/7, to make sure that cast members understand the time management principles to get to their shift on time.
Yeah.
Was that a part of it, or just an unintended
I think that's
benefit?
part of teaching the managers to make sure they're teaching their people what, clarity of communication is the best time management. If I hire you, when you leave, you're going to clearly understand you got to be to work on time.
Right.
And you're going to have to understand you got to speak to people properly, and you got to execute your job properly. And I'm going to spend that extra time so there's no misunderstandings. Yeah. And that's what we don't do. Clarity of understanding of how we work around here.
Yep.
Clarity is the biggest problem in the world. How many people say, I didn't understand, you didn't tell me, I forgot.
Miscommunication.
Blah, blah, blah. Well, that's your fault. I've come to the conclusion most of your problems are your fault.
Self-inflicted.
Huh?
Self-inflicted wounds.
Absolutely. You could have. Or the first time they're late, you make sure they never forget that again. You bring them in like your mother used to.
Right.
That's why I like
Learn
mothers.
from it.
Mothers are tough.
Learn from it.
They love you, but they'll kick your butt. So,
We're taking a quick bourbon break. So while glasses are refilled, let's talk about something as important as a good pour, your marketing. I'm the founder of Butler Marketing Group, and we help businesses, small, medium, and Fortune 500, navigate growth and transformation with marketing that's strategic, intentional, and built to leave a legacy. Whether you need branding, marketing strategy, loyalty, or a fractional chief marketing officer, we've got the perfect blend of services for your business. Contact Butler MG to get started. Now, back to the show. Okay, career setbacks and lessons learned. So you've been candid about some really difficult career moments, such as being passed over for the senior vice president of, it was basically the head of food and beverage at Marriott, right?
That's correct.
And so you asked for a demotion. So tell me, when you think back about missing out on a job that you really, really wanted, what do you think it taught you that you would not have learned had you gotten that job that you really wanted?
Well, I reflected on it, and I knew that I was at least 51% responsible for not being considered for that job because of maybe being too outspoken and too aggressive and not subtle enough about how I dealt with people above me. Okay. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And at that point, I learned that. And it didn't happen again. I came to Disney and had, but in fact, it's the best thing that ever happened, getting passed over at Marriott, because it got me to Disney.
I was going to say, isn't that the hidden blessing in it all, right? We were so convinced that this is the thing that I really want, and you can see that the long-term view of where it's going to take you, and then suddenly when that doesn't happen, it's often something comes in better.
That's a big problem right now with people. They get so worried about losing their job, but I can tell you, there was life after the Army, life after Hilton, where I didn't like my boss and I left. Life after I got fired. Right. Life after Marriott. Life After Disney.
I joke that this show it could be like AKA like Life After Disney, right? What
Yeah,
what did you
yeah.
learn and how did you apply it in the next phase of your life, your career?
It's not
Yeah.
over, you know.
Right.
And if there's life after life, I've batted 100%.
There you go.
So, that's what I'm hoping for.
All right, well, I'm going to let you take a sip for a minute.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to do a quick thank you to our sponsor, D3 Brewing Company, for their amazing craft beers, Three Wishes, Midnight Pumpkin, Benny's Brew, Retired Brides. D3 Brewing Company knows the importance of creating connection and crafting something unforgettable. So whether you're toasting to a big idea, celebrating a small win, or just savoring a moment of inspiration, D3 Brewing Company has the perfect pour for every occasion. And with every sip, you're not just enjoying an excellent brew, you're part of a story around loyalty, fun, and bringing people together. So cheers to great beer, great conversations, and the magic of D3 Brewing Company. Drinks up. All right, that was your hot take, Lee. All right, here we go.
I got it.
Three-Legged Stool.
Yeah.
So I remember this from the Disney days. Explain what that is for people who may not be familiar and how it applies to business.
Well, I think it applies to me I want people to think about it before they decide they want to be a leader, because the three-legged stool is basically you got to take care of the guest, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take care of your staff, and you got to take care of the bottom line.
Right.
And each time you make a decision about each one of those, you need to fully consider how's it going to affect each one.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what the decision you make is, somebody's not going to be happy.
Yeah. And you create this imbalance.
Right. And just teaching people you do the best you can.
Mm-hmm.
You thought about it, you worked through each one, and there is no perfect decision. That's what leadership's about.
Yeah.
Everything's not solvable perfectly.
Right.
So if we close an attraction, the guests are not happy. You know, if we don't open as early next week, the cast's not happy. They lose hours, and it's always so you got to be ready to be abused as a leader too, because people get upset with you and they think that, oh, he did that to me. Well, you didn't do it. You did the best thing you could.
Right. Yeah, and you're thinking through the three elements of the stool.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if you take one leg out, you know.
Right. Imagine what would happen.
If you just always took care of the bottom line.
Right.
Those others would fall apart eventually. And you see that today in business, people going after them really hard after the productivity and the cost, and their business is declining. The guests are not as
guest satisfaction
trustworthy.
measure. Yeah.
They don't believe you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Thanks.
And,
very good.
Yeah.
All right, resiliency. So you have a distinction between the professional resume and the private resume, right? Yeah. So you've been very candid about sharing your personal stories around your upbringing, your family, profound challenges that you've had in your life. So why is it so important for you to be so public about very private things? Where does that come from? That it's really important for you to share that?
Well, it's comfortable for me as I went through that, and it's something I want to use to talk to young people. We've all got problems, and we may have all had mothers who didn't hug us enough, and we may have not been able to go to college, and we may have gotten fired from a job, and for them to see the reality is, not Lee was born and he became vice president of Disney.
Right.
You go through these things and don't get overwhelmed by them, and just pick yourself up and keep going, because a lot of people, the minute they have a problem, they psychologically go downhill and can't pull themselves together. Yeah. And I think a lot of people think that Lee, he can talk about this. He's the vice president of Disney, and they don't know how.
Right, where that resiliency comes from.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's what happens in life. Experience makes you harder and better and understanding.
And some people bounce back, and others have a very difficult time doing that, right?
Absolutely.
I think that is the part about resiliency.
You see it every day.
You bounce back up, right? Yeah. Exactly. Amazing. All right, so another amazing thing, your podcast. So Creating Disney Magic, celebrating 600 episodes very soon. So I don't even know how you remember all of these. Is there an episode that does stand out for you?
Well, there stands out for the listeners.
Okay.
Back in '08, my wife was very sick and almost died, and I had to take care of her for 2 years. She was in the hospital 67 days. The bill was $700,000 when it was all done. Luckily, I still had Disney insurance. They probably wished I'd left earlier. But I ended up first with anxiety and then depression, and I had to get treated. As my wife sent me to a psychiatrist, and I got the medication, started seeing a psychologist, and And I did a podcast on that one day.
Wow.
Just off the guy I work with called me and said, "What do you want to talk about today, Lee?" And I said, "Well, Jody, I always tell you everything's great. Let me tell you the truth. It's not great. I'm going through a period of depression. I've been treated. I have trouble sleeping. I'm taking all kinds of pills, and it's about the darkest place you can be."
Yeah.
The feedback we got from that episode, it was unbelievable. Wow. From all over the world.
Again, because you are being very candid about something that's
everybody was going through
personal.
That kind of stuff,
right? And yet, but people don't talk about it.
No,
right?
And I heard from a guy in London the next one. He said, "I wish my boss would talk about this and think about this." And I said, today it's a problem for students, college students. 40% of college students, freshmen, usually need mental health counseling today.
Oh. It's stressful.
The universities don't have enough people,
yeah.
So they're waiting 3 and 4 months, which is very dangerous. For elementary kids, teenage girls, I will guarantee you more people around you are having mental health problems than you can imagine.
Yeah.
And
because life happens.
It helped me by talking about it.
Right, exactly.
I didn't want to try to cover it up.
And then you help other people along the way.
Yeah. So I'm good today so far.
How many more episodes do you want to do?
I don't know. I keep wondering why we keep going, but
there's always something to talk about, isn't there?
It's kind of fun. It takes us about 15, 20 minutes a week to record one.
Okay.
And then people think I'm famous. And people say, "Why do you keep working, Lee? Why don't you lay on the couch and retire?" I said, "Because people clap." And I'm insecure. When I play golf, nobody claps, so I quit doing that. And it's just, what are you going to do? I tell you, people retired better have something to do, because boredom will kill you faster than anything else.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you're bored, you get in trouble. You do things you shouldn't be doing.
I'm a busybody. But you know what? What I didn't share with you when we were doing our Zoom prep for this, I didn't share with you that when the pandemic occurred and Disney wasn't open, granted, I was living on the Maryland side of Washington, D.C., but when the pandemic occurred, I would go out for really long walks and I would listen to your podcast and I would listen to Disney Parks music on subsonic radio, these other things, right? Because I thought, I can't go to Disney, but I can bring Disney to me. And I really enjoyed listening to your show with you and Jody.
Well, that's when we developed the Cockerell Academy. It was during that period. He said, "You want to do this?" And I said, "Yeah, we don't have anything else to do." So for 2 years, we just developed it, created the courses.
Amazing. All right, well then let's go to that question. I had another one, but I'll reverse engineer. So what do you love most about the Cockerell Academy and working with your son, Dan? And how has that shaped your personal and professional lives with each other?
I came to the conclusion that we need less bosses and more teachers. Mm-hmm. I really believe that deeply. Mm-hmm. Even if you're in charge of something, you ought to not intimidate people. When they do something wrong, you stop, you teach them. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like your mother. She'll teach you again, 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 again. And so I always thought I had something to say. I worked for Hilton all those years, Marriott, Disney. I've been to 48 countries around the world. I do work everywhere. I said, I must have something to say. And so that's when I just decided I'm going to just put it out there, because we all have the same problems. We're all insecure. Right. We all want to be famous. Yeah. We all want to do better. We all want to,
Was this the first time you worked really closely with Dan, your son, on creating the Cockerell Academy and teaching? Yeah.
The only time I worked more closely when he went to college, and I put him in my time management seminar and told him I'm only paying for 4 years, so you better go to class. And we did some things together and traveled together and did it. And it was a lot of fun. Yeah. And,
you see each other in a different light, I would imagine.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was good. That's great.
Very good. All right. So you touched on the 48 countries. We're going to go there next. So you've traveled the globe speaking and consulting. What have you learned from audiences that surprised you?
That everybody has the same worries. I was in Kuwait and we took a break, and this Muslim lady came up to me and she wanted to talk to me, and all she wanted to talk about is her daughter. She said, my daughter's going to go to school in New Hampshire next year in America. And can you tell me, will she be safe? How can I,
Wow.
worried about,
Yeah.
it's all the same. People worried about their kids. I said, everywhere I go, we always hate the governments everywhere, but the people are just normal. They have babies, they have strollers, they want to educate their kids, they want to be happy, they want to be safe. And this is everywhere. Yeah. I've been to India, I've been to Africa, I've been to Kuwait, I've been to Russia. It's all the same. Yeah. Government, forget the governments. We all hate them.
We're all the
they
same.
hate us,
right.
but the people.
Yeah.
And that's what you learn is quit. Travel literally gets rid of bigotry.
Wow.
It really does. I mean, some of the nicest people I know I've met in those countries.
Yeah, yeah. By the way, do you have a favorite keynote address that's like your favorite one to give?
Well,
because you have several.
I have one I call Lessons in Leadership. You can create Disney magic too. You can create magic.
Yeah.
And you can do it in your personal life, your public life, with your kids, with your work, and people like that because we talk about leadership, we talk about management, we talk about learning, we talk about the customer experience and the culture.
Yeah.
Culture, big deal. Most people stay at Disney because of the culture.
Yes.
A lot of them hate their boss, but they stay because generally the culture is good.
And you want to be a part of something
they feel
bigger than
appreciated.
you.
Absolutely. Yeah. When you don't love me anymore, I'm going to leave. That's what happens. People leave because they don't feel like they matter.
Right. Or seen.
Right.
Yeah.
Making sure people know they matter. Yeah. That's what everybody wants.
Yeah. Absolutely.
To feel like I'm somebody.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. So legacy. So you've had this incredible career. You've had a tremendous impact, like literally on millions of people, millions. So when you think about building and leaving a legacy, what do you want yours to be?
Well, I want basically for people to remember that I helped them. To be remembered for what I did for people. I get every week notes from people from 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago saying, I read your book and it totally changed my leadership style. I'm very successful today. I know that's why, because I learned from that. Yeah. I think teachers are probably the most important people in the world because they make you better, hopefully. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I like, guys. I don't want people to say he was a boss or he made a lot of money at Disney.
Right, or just the titles.
I just like, being appreciated and that people can track something I did for them to their success in life. Yeah. So and they say you're not dead till everybody who knew you's dead. So I keep trying to meet babies all the time so they can keep so it'll go longer. But my grandkids are going to tell their kids about me. Yep. And hopefully those lessons will go down. Ethics, honesty, doing the right thing.
Well, and you've recorded so many of your lessons through podcasts and books, right? That you do have this living legacy that will.
They'll think I'm still alive.
Right? Stick around a little bit longer, Lee. All right, so we're going to wrap up. There are 4 standard questions that I have for my show at the end. If you were a bourbon, what bourbon would you be and why?
Oh,
you used to drink bourbon a long time ago.
Isn't there a bourbon called Grandfather or Grandpa? What's the name of it?
Old Grandfather?
Old Grandfather.
Are you thinking that way? I think that's right. Did I put it? I don't think I brought that one today. Yeah. But you're on the right
Or I might help Jim Beam right now. They're suffering. So bourbon. My mother-in-law, I'll tell you bourbon. My mother-in-law drank bourbon all of her life. She died at 95, and when she was about 90, she told me she's going to switch to red wine because she heard it makes you live longer. But she
stretched that out.
She drank her bourbon on the rocks, and she did pretty good. Every day she had a little cocktail.
A little nip.
5 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 5 o'clock somewhere. Yeah. Okay. It's not quite 5 here, but it's 5 o'clock somewhere right now. If you could go back and experience one thing at Disney again for the first time ever, what would that be?
For the first time ever? Yeah. Well, my wife and I used to go to Disneyland way back, and it was so much fun. we didn't take our son the next time. We went alone.
It is a very different experience.
It really was. But, you know, the thing that I think about a lot is the Lion King. Mm-hmm. I was never into all those kind of movies and fantasy and all that, and I thought I didn't like that. So that movie really moved me. The power of the story and the learning and the values it teaches. And I think of that, and when I hear that music, I just want to get up and do something.
Yeah.
So I think those kinds of things. And I would say taking my grandkids.
Yeah, the first time
I
you
got
took
pictures
them.
of my granddaughter sitting on my shoulders watching that parade, and she's as happy as she'll ever be in her life. And those moments when you're together, it's different. You know, it's different than going to First Watch for breakfast. I mean, your kids are so excited. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to believe how excited kids get. I have a friend who woke her son up the other morning up in Denver, and 3 a.m, and said, "Tommy, it's time to get up." I said, "All right." She said, "We're going to Disneyland today, just you and me."
Was he bonkers?
Oh my God, this kid went like not. He'll never forget that for the rest of his life.
Right.
So
amazing.
It's a special place.
It is a very special place.
Yeah.
I know, very much so. I'm very grateful to have been a part of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is a question from a previous guest. So Chuck Salvo was on the show in season 1, and he left this question about personality traits. So how do you describe yourself, and how is this personality trait or traits, how are those exhibited in public?
Yeah, I would say I'm calm on the outside.
Again, public versus private.
But one of my, I think a lot about making sure I'm aware of not underestimating the influence I have on people, of being just nice. Even a stranger, just that they don't go home and say, "This jerk ran into us today. Remember that nice guy we saw there? He took care of us. He helped us grow." I like that as just, everybody's got a lot of problems, and I don't want to make them worse.
Right.
So I think about that. Calm, cool. I like what I'm doing.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah.
What question do you want me to ask a future guest on your behalf? What do you want to know?
Well, I would say, do you know who you are? Can you tell me
really
who
know
you
who you
are?
are? Yeah.
And I still work on that every day, trying to figure out why I think things, why I overreact on things, why I believe certain things. I read a lot about trying to understand the impact of other people on you way back, and how do you overcome that if you were damaged of that. Yeah,
We're the sum of all of our parts
and experiences. You got to know who you are before you're going to help other people.
Right. It's interesting to me that often when I'm talking with someone, especially if it's like the first conversation, they start with the resume, right? They start with the whole, I grew up in this town, I went to this school, I've done this, versus talking about who they really are. What do they believe in? What are they, like, what's at their core?
It takes a long time to figure that out, and you still don't get it all.
Right.
You know. And who are the influences in your life? The biggest influence in my life was my grandmother, who dropped out at 9th grade, worked at Penny's as an elevator operator. She was the nicest, kindest, reinforcing person. Unbelievable. You know, my mother was married 5 times. First time 15 years old.
Who? Thankfully, your grandmother was in your
life.
World
War II, that's what was going on. These young girls were getting married, leaving. And my grandmother was stable.
Okay, and calm.
And I lived with her the first few years, and she told me I could do anything. And anytime I didn't like what my mother was doing, I went to my grandmother's.
Okay.
which is almost every day.
Sounds like it worked out.
Yeah, she just was kind.
Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
She loved me more than anything she could imagine. And we all want that,
Amazing.
somebody to love us, you know.
All right. I will share your question with a future guest.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to hearing the answer, right?
Yes,
all right,
ma'am.
so we're going to wrap this up. So Lee, I'm so appreciative that you joined us today, that we could talk about leadership and customer service and culture and so forth. From the lessons that you gained at Hilton, Marriott, and Disney, to how you turned the great leader strategies into daily leadership practices, as well as your guidance on leading with consistency and setting clear standards. It's something that every listener can learn from and apply, like next day, same day. I also want to thank the crew here at the amazing Iron Pixel Studios in Orlando. I would like to thank our show sponsor, D3 Brewing Company, the makers of these fine craft beers in front of us. And for all of you watching today, I hope that you have learned something that you can take away from about how do you think about setting standards as a leader, what can customer experience reinforce in your daily practices, and how to manage your time and priorities so that you can lead with intention. And I think there's also a great lesson around setbacks and resiliency and how that carves us in our careers and in our personal lives as well. So if everyone enjoyed this episode, share it, like it, share it with a friend, tell them. And remember that the best ideas often come when you take a moment to savor something great. So drinks up, kungaloosh, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you. Bravo. Appreciate it.